Hey everybody out there, Ryan Catherwood coming to you live from the grounds of the University of Virginia here in Charlottesville. You are watching Advancement Live. Advancement Live is part of the Higher Ed Live Network, a series of professional development web shows, podcasts, and they are free and accessible to you. Just check out the app on iTunes or go to higheredlive.com so that you can pull them down from there. Be a part of our broadcast by tuning in live and sharing your insights and questions. We will be checking out the hashtag HigherEdLive during the course of the broadcast. So you can ask some questions to today's guest. And before we introduce today's guest, I would like to introduce our fantastic sponsors. First sponsor is iModules. iModules software is the leading constituent engagement management provider for educational institutions. iModules delivers an integrated online platform that transforms how institutions strengthen constituent relationships and achieve fundraising success. I am excited to go to the Sizzler 14 conference next week in Kansas City myself. Higher Ed Live is produced by M. Stoner, a marketing and communications firm that works with educational institutions on branding, strategy, web design, and more. In July, M. Stoner is hosting an in-depth two-part webinar series focused on how colleges and universities can offer program, major, and degree pages that don't suck. Their words. These are the products of These are the products our institutions offer, yet many degree pages on EDU sites are long, lackluster, and lifeless. We're tweeting out a link to it, and I think I already have, but you should register for that great event. Without further ado, I would like to introduce my guest on today's episode. I did promise that Patty Daves would be joining Adrian Dara today on the episode of Advancement Live, but she has been unfortunately tied up. However, I am thrilled to have Adrian join us from the University of Oregon. How are you today, Adrian?
I'm good. Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you for taking the time. Adrian Dara, not Dara. We already talked about that. Isn't that amazing how that happens? Adrian Dara is the Director of Membership and Business Development at the University of Oregon Alumni Association. She's in charge of implementing an integrated marketing and stewardship program, working with sponsors and vendors, and developing annual goals, projections, and budgets based on data analysis and forecasting. So, today is an important topic for tons of folks across the country, Adrian, and one of the biggest components of why one would want to purchase a membership to an alumni association program is the rewards, right? So what have you discovered really that is sort of the most interesting or most influential alumni association membership at the University of Oregon?
It's really dependent upon the member. We did a survey about a year ago where we asked about our rewards and the events that we offer, and what we found was that our alumni and the friends of the university who are members of the association don't necessarily want to use our rewards or attend our events. They just want to know that they're happening. But out of the events and the rewards that we offer, what has really intrigued me are the requests that we get for the discount codes for our car rentals. I never would have thought that would have been a popular one, but it seems like we get requests from them more often than not. In the past year, we kicked off our Duck Career Network, so that's been a huge push for the younger alumni. It's been a slow go initially, but we're picking up speed, and our webinars are having a really good attendance rate. But the two most appealing rewards for the members of the UOAA are the Nike Employee Store Member Night in Portland. That happens each November. Members are invited to come shop at the Nike Employee Store, so it's a 3 to 4 hour event. We have about a little over 1,000 RSVPs for that event each year.
Wow.
It's great when it happens during the year because it's right before the holidays, so people really stock up on a lot of items for the holidays, and you know, Nike's it's a big thing at the University of Oregon, so it's really great that they allow us to do that. The second thing is our football ticket sale. So after the subscriptions have been sold and before the tickets go on sale to our to the general public, our members have a 2-day window to purchase tickets to single games. And so we are actually 24 hours from that going live right now. So that's a huge push for membership as well.
Wow. So that I understand, so you have a night at the Nike store in downtown Portland that's just for the Oregon Alumni Association, and folks RSVP to shop.
They do. It's a 4-hour, so it starts at about 6, and so we have shifts of an hour each. The 1,000 RSVPs we get also come from our Student Alumni Association members, so it's anyone from, a 20 or an 18-year-old who's a brand new student at the University of Oregon to, an 80-year-old grandmother who lives in Portland who wants to go shopping with her grandkids. So it's a great night. It's really popular, and we're very, very appreciative to Nike for allowing us to do that.
Very good. One of the components here at the University of Virginia that we try very hard to infuse with all of our membership-related activities and programming at large really is the chapters program. We call them UVA clubs here at the University of Virginia, but that's sort of the regional marketing component. So many folks don't live in Charlottesville or Eugene and are potentially not going to attend an event in the area. How do you really coordinate some of the marketing components with your chapters elements, and do they have to be a member of the Alumni Association to attend an event?
Our chapters have been independent for the most part up until about the last 3 years. We've been trying to get them to take part in the association and what it is we do, and realize and understand that we all work together to the same ends. So in the last 3 years, they've been more accepting of the work that we do. We are responsible for all of the emails that get sent out on behalf of the chapters, but the chapters, in return, they market our membership at their events, in person, in their emails. The chapters are basically the face of the association, and so to thank them for that, we've instituted the Chapter Incentive Program in the last 2 years. So for every brand new membership that is attributed to a chapter marketing, whether it be in person or at an event, we give them half the funds for each annual membership, $25 for each 3-year membership, and $50 for each paid in full membership, for which they can use that money either for their events or their scholarship drives. The funding that we typically give the chapters goes towards scholarships, so this is a brand new sort of income for them. We also offer a 2-day boot camp for chapter leaders in June, where they come, we bring them out here, we spend 48 hours just throwing all the information we can at them, and part of that is membership and membership marketing. And so we try to really integrate the chapters in everything we do. You do not need to be a member to attend a chapter event. That's a sticking point with me, because since I'm the director of membership, I want everything to be membership related. Right. But members do receive discounts to events that are hosted by chapters. And then currently webinars are only hosted through our Duck Career Network. We don't really host webinars through chapters, and the webinars that we do host, some are members and some are open to the entire alumni. But one of the ways we do market the chapters to our alumni is each April we have a grad fair at our student bookstore, where graduating seniors come to buy their regalia, and part of the package that they buy includes the regalia, the graduation fee, a diploma cover, and a membership in the UOAA. And so we have printed a nice little pamphlet for these new grads with our chapter information, our chapter areas, and we talk to them in depth about where they're going and how they should get involved. And in return, the chapters host the first watch party they have of the year is hosted in honor of these new grads. And so it's a very integrated marketing plan that we have now. And we are actually looking for a new assistant director of alumni engagement to head those, to manage the chapters. So I'm really looking forward to what that person brings to the table and the ideas that we can integrate into the new marketing scheme.
There you go. Anybody out there listening, go ahead and tweet that out. University of Oregon looking for someone to head up their chapters program. Exciting stuff. And so, a little bit, we've talked about some forms of events, Adrian, in general, the Nike night at the store in Portland, and then some chapter components. And obviously there's some, I would imagine, sports related is a huge component of your event program marketing. Are there others that you sort of deploy with respect to your Alumni Association marketing strategy?
We market events and everything it is that we do. Members receive discounts on any events that are hosted by the UIA and most of the time by the chapters. We also host the 50-year reunion and the multicultural reunion each year. So the 50th happens during homecoming. The 50th or the multicultural reunion was supposed to happen during homecoming this year as well, but we're having a very large gathering that weekend, so that's been pushed out to the spring this year. We also assist in marketing events that are hosted by our chapters, and depending on what area they're in, there are different events. So like in Portland, for example, they have a Duck Biz Lunch. So business people are invited to come meet, network. It's a brown bag lunch. But then in Hawaii, we have Ducks on the Beach, where it's a gathering. So it's all dependent upon the area that they're in and what the chapters want to host. But we do send special e-solicitations depending on the interest of an event. So the Nike event, because there is such high interest from the alumni, we do send out an e-appeal prior to that event happening. And the same thing with the football ticket sale. And then in the fall, we host tailgates at all away games. And so that's another thing where we try to market that as well, since we know that that's going to be a draw. We actually had a tailgate at UVA last year. So I think we got 5 memberships off of that one.
Good
That was
stuff.
very exciting. Yes.
No, I think events and being really creative with them is a huge part of the membership marketing process. I know we had I work in university advancement, and we had a table set up at the we do orientations throughout the summer for new students and their parents, and I know that the Alumni Association, Patty Daves and her team were there already signing up students who hadn't even walked on grounds yet for memberships of the Alumni Association.
Yes, we're actually in the middle of that right now. We have a Student Alumni Association, we have a Student Alumni Association Assistant Director, and so it is called Introduction, with Duck being D-U-C-K, and so she and her cadre of students go out and meet with all of the incoming students and sign them up for memberships, and we have a very high conversion rate for that, so it's very exciting.
Yeah, and one of the other thoughts I had while we were still on the topic of chapters, Adrian, was when you're actually working with them to help, and you have that incentive program where folks can actually benefit the chapter by signing other folks up. Do you have to send them marketing materials, talking points? How do you make sure that they're sort of delivering the messaging that you want?
They are given talking points during the boot camp, and then they all have access to me and my assistant director throughout the year, so if they have any questions. The Portland chapter is actually very good about reaching out. We do not we do not supply them with marketing materials per se. We'll give them membership brochures with their code on that they can hand to people, but the idea is that they're doing the work to bring in those members, because if we're doing the work to bring in the members, it doesn't really make sense for us to incentivize this because we're really doing the work. So we do provide membership brochures and then they have an appeal code, which is how I track the income.
It makes sense to me. And one of the other components of your membership marketing program is called Duck Adoption, which is when you guys integrated non-graduates into the program as sort of adopt the university in effect. How did you guys come up with that idea, and how successful has it been so far?
The Duck Adoption is a way for non-alumni who have affinity to the UO to have a closer relationship with the UO. Yeah. We came up with this idea because there are so many supporters in the state of Oregon who are not alumni. They might come from a Duck family and they just chose to go to a different university, but they still have a high affinity for the UO. They might be spouses. I'm actually an adopted Duck because my husband's an alum and I'm not. There's any number of reasons why they might have an affinity. They might just love the football program, and so they support the football program, and they've never realized that they can be a member of the Alumni Association. And so we introduced the Duck Adoption program. We're going into our 2nd year of this, and so part of this program, you answer a 10-question quiz, and people here say, oh, it's really easy, it's a silly little quiz, but I've tried taking the quiz and I'm not very good at it no matter how many times I try to take it. So once you take the quiz, you submit your answers with your membership application, and that's how you become an adopted Duck. And then you receive a certificate of your Duck adoption. Try saying that 5 times fast.
Yeah, that's hard.
Your Duck adoption. And then you receive all of the all of the rewards of membership,
Yeah.
and then you are assumed to be an adopted duck.
But
So
you guys actually make people cough up their money and then prove their either their internet prowess or their overall loyalty to the program. I think that that's a pretty cool feature. Even if you're, do they have to have a certain score to pass or not?
no, we don't hold them to that, and it's really
Yeah.
funny because I've sent out a mailing, and this is it lives on our website, but I've also sent out a mailing, and I've had people respond and cross out answers and like write new answers in because they don't agree with the answers that we've provided them. So it's actually quite entertaining to see what people like return to us. And so it's been a very successful campaign. We've never before reached out to these people, so I think that that has a huge impact on the response rates. We've done mail and e-appeals, and the mail actually has done much, much better than the e-appeal, which is typical for the different solicitations. But it's been, I really thought we'd get pushback, and we've not gotten any pushback on that campaign.
So who are these folks? Are they parents and friends of the university primarily?
They are parents, they're friends. We do not solicit people who do not already have a relationship with the UO. So these are people
Mhm.
who live in our database for one capacity or another. So whether
Yeah.
or not they're the spouses, whether or not they're parents, they could be grandparents, they could have purchased football tickets. Like there's any number of reasons why they would be in our database, but we don't cold call people and ask them to become adopted ducks. That's not to say people can't go out to our website and fill out the questionnaire and become an adopted duck, but we only solicit people who are in our database. And
Understood.
it's the introduction of this program too has changed our verbiage because we were always referring to alumni. Alumni come, alumni do this. And so with the introduction of the adopted duck, we've been taking a more concerted view of, okay, we're not just working with alumni, we're also working with friends. So everything now is alumni and friends. Alumni and friends, please come to our event. Alumni and friends, please, help us with any number of things. And so it's been eye-opening.
It sounds like a familiar conversation here in University Advancement. We work very closely, collaboratively with the Alumni Association, but it had been in the past largely an alumni-framed conversation for the Alumni Association. And of course, for us here in University Advancement, we've been asking alumni parents and friends for money for a long time. So it made sense to make sure that in all of our programming, to the degree possible, we're inviting alumni parents and friends. And obviously, from your vantage point, parents are friends.
Yes.
So while we're talking about messaging, one thought that I had in checking out a few websites is noting what messaging has been the most effective. I noticed some copy on your website that has a "I am a member" language, and people effectively giving testimonials. How did you guys come up with that angle, and then how do you communicate the value of being a member of the Alumni Association?
Duck Pride is huge with the OO for not only alumni but non-alumni alike, and not only for the university but between ducks. And so networking and just staying connected with the university is just it's just so important to our constituents. I'm sure, as you noticed by reading those testimonials of why I'm a member, they all resonate along these lines. It's either staying connected to other ducks, it's staying connected to the university, or it's just duck pride. In January, we ran a membership month campaign, and part of that campaign was a 3E appeal solicitation schedule, and the first one was about our rewards, and these are the rewards we offer, you should become a member. And the second one was the top 10 reasons, we have a top 10 reasons to join. And the third one was all about pride, and the pride touched upon days spent on Memorial Quad or days walking down 13th Avenue in the fall. And so it really resonated on that whole pride of the university and pride of being a duck. And really, like, as the third e-appeal, logic would dictate that because this group of people has been highly saturated in a 4-week period, the third e-appeal wouldn't have performed nearly as well as the first two. Oddly enough, the third e-appeal resonated much, much more positively than the first two did, and it put the first two e-appeals to shame. And so Duck Pride is huge here.
So the email solicitation that went out, that was focused on pride for being a member of the Duck family or Duck Nation, was the one that actually had sort of the most impact as far as conversions.
It did, yes. So
Awesome.
we marketed our rewards, we marketed the reasons to join, and then we marketed Pride. And the tagline was, "If you love the UO, you'll love the UOAA," and it just listed all of these all of these things that should remind you of what is so great about the UO, and we just had a phenomenal response to that.
Good stuff, Adrian. Do you guys ever use social media to drive awareness for becoming a member? And if so, are you sort of tracking some of those digital campaign components?
I actually heard the best line last week. Social media is just one of these things that's in the back of everybody's minds, and some people use it really well and some people not so well. And this person that I was talking to last week that said, social media isn't a place to basically hawk your wares. It's a place to announce, the wins, to get people excited, and that is basically the way the UOAA has approached social media. That's not to say we've not touched upon membership, but if we're putting membership on social media, it's going to be because it's a big event. For example, we ran a Cyber Monday event back in December. For one day only, we offered every single membership except for our three-year membership for 25% off. This was completely unheard of before. We'll knock $5 off here and there, but a full 25% off. And so because I wanted to get that message out, we put it on social media. Another one was the membership month in January, because it was a special campaign and it was all about membership. We also put that on social media. And at the tail end of the fiscal year, we were a hair away from getting 25,000 members, and historically we have never seen that number in membership, and so we put that on social media as well. But we're not putting every solicitation out there, so this is 3 times throughout the year that we put these things on social media to talk about membership. Other times throughout the year, it's information and data on the association, and then we will also talk about our rewards. If we have a great reward, one of the local car dealers here is offering fleet pricing to any member of the UIAA, and so we put that on social media because we figured people might want to know that. This fiscal year we are contracting with My Supermarketer out of Michigan, and so they're a social media driven company that engage and connect supporters, and so we're hoping that that will help us engage our current supporters and bring in, we'll be able to find the lost supporters. And so the success on that will be measured through the number of Facebook likes, because they've guaranteed us that the Facebook likes will go up, and it will also be measured on the number of memberships that are driven by that campaign. But for the most part, what we do on social media is part of a larger, more global campaign, and so we don't really track social media, we track the campaigns.
I mean, that makes total sense. One of the things we're working on here at the University of Virginia and University of Advancement is trying to figure out, is there we'll call it a formula or a percentage whereby you're giving in say 75% of your tweets or your Facebook posts or your LinkedIn posts information or stories reflective of school spirit, and does it leave 25% of the social space that you could actually ask for money or sell memberships? And we'll toy with it. It'll be interesting to see whether or not there will be some unfollows or unlikes as a result, and I think it's important to take a test on that, but certainly uncharted territory here as well. What would you say is the key to making sure alums renew their Alumni Association membership? It's one thing to get them to join for the first time. It's another thing for them to feel there's value there and sign up again.
Alumni and friends, they have many needs and many interests, and we try to be everything to everyone. And I know that you're not supposed to try to be everything to everyone, but when you need to be everything to everyone, you need to make that effort. And so, as I alluded to earlier, our top 10 reasons to join they cover everything from Duck Pride to our rewards and discounts. We used to be known as the group that did the tailgates, and so it was very athletic driven, and we didn't want to be known as the group that did the tailgates, and we didn't want to be known as the group that was primarily supporting athletics. Not that we don't do tailgates. We host tailgates at every single away game, But we also do things like networking seminars through our Dr. Career Network. We have an international travel and tour program. We do campus tours through our Student Alumni Association. There are several other things that we do that's academic or networking related that people just were not aware of. And so we're trying to get that message out there to people, and we've done a really great job in the last 2 years. Everybody in the association's on board with this to get that message out, and everything that we send out has that messaging in it. And so I believe that that's one of the things that helps us renew people. You're going to have the attrition just because it's the nature of the field. Yep. But it's just one of these things where it's like, unless you're telling people the wonderful things you're doing, they're going to have assumptions on what it is you do. Another thing that we do is we offer scholarship money, and most people were not aware that we do that. And then our advocacy group this past year, they helped pass Senate Bill 270 in Oregon. Actually, it was in 2013, which established an independent institutional board for the UO. And this was huge for the university because we used to be part of a grander state board. And so now, as of this past July, as of July 1, we have our own independent board, and our members helped with that. And so just getting those messages out there. And then the huge thing is just saying thank you. We get so wrapped up in solicitations and the ROI on things that we forget that even though there's no ROI on saying thank you, it's still such an important component of what it is we do. Yeah. And so prior to the last year and a half, our only thank you came in the form of an acknowledgement. You gave your gift, you got an acknowledgement. In the last year and a half, we instituted different stewardship programs, and so we're sending birthday cards and thank you card in November, and then a happy holidays postcard. And so we have a lot of touches throughout the year, and one of the biggest ones is we send out an e-news each month, and in the e-news there's a little section for membership, and it says thank you for your membership. Did you know ... And so it's just get your message out there. Try to be try to be everything to everyone, but it's really important to say thank you at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And so thinking about the ideas behind retention, and then of course what you're beginning to learn there as far as opportunities to increase membership. Forecasting, I have to imagine, is a part of your job in some components. Could you talk a little bit about how you're using some of the data to anticipate, if you will?
We never really had a handle. So my position as the Director of Membership was a brand new position that was created about 2 years ago in a strategic plan. And we've never actually sent acquisition pieces. And so we didn't know what the response rates on our acquisition pieces were. And so when I came in and I started sending acquisition pieces, I was testing a lot. I was trying to see what resonated. And I've been here for 18 months, and it says that the response rate homegrown, at least in 2013 or 2012, response rate should be a 3.4% on a paper, 0.12% on an email. For us, it's really 1% on paper and a 0.2% on email, and so it's just getting to that point, knowing how many pieces I'm going to be sending out, like what I need to get to hit my goals for the year. My forecasting, I sit down at the beginning of every fiscal year and I look to see what it is I'm doing, but throughout the year I tweak things. Something may not have worked as well as I wanted, and instead of just saying, okay, well that didn't work, we're just going to be low at the end of the fiscal year, we'll introduce something new. We'll test something brand new. We have a lot of data in our database, and so I look at stuff that we've done in the past, and then I consider stuff that we might want to do in the future, stuff that's worked, and so that's how I build my business plan for the future year.
Very good. So in closing, Adrienne, I love to make sure beyond some of the tips that people would be able to garner from your answers and the questions to sort of call out a few closing tips that you might have as far as folks who may be actually trying to take the first steps of building an alumni association membership marketing program. If you were to sort of select some things that that might be the building blocks, if you will, what do you think that those would be?
I think for somebody who's brand new, who's trying to establish an association, the number one thing that I would tell them that the terminology best practices are not a holy grail to success. We throw them around a lot. they're a guideline. They're an amazing guideline, but they're just a guideline. You should get out there and talk to people. Talk to your peer institutions. Talk to institutions that you strive to emulate. Find out what it is they're doing and test. Like, testing is so very, 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 very important, because you don't know what's going to resonate with your alumni. You know, I alluded to the Nike Employee Store in Portland, that event that we have each year. And that's great for our alumni. That might not work for the University of Washington alumni, for example, because they don't have the affinity for Nike. So don't necessarily institute another association's marketing or strategy plans. Figure out what works best for you. So really take a year or two to test and find out what works. Start building your repertoire. As things, you know, as you've decided things are not working or things are working, introduce more tests. And ultimately, don't get disheartened. You're developing a relationship with your alumni, and like any relationship, at the end of the day, it takes time, patience, and understanding, and that takes a lot of time.
Absolutely. Adrienne Dara, thank you so much for joining us all the way from the University of Oregon in Eugene. It was a pleasure to meet you and speak with you. I hope we get the chance to connect in real life.
Definitely. Thank you.
Thank you for everyone for watching this edition of Advancement Live. And my partner Andrew and I will be back again in August with other editions. Have a great afternoon, rest of your Tuesday. Bye-bye now.